Would we like to get started or should we wait a couple more minutes?
I would say let's get started, Kelsey. Thank you.
Yeah, okay, so welcome everyone. Thank you for joining us today. I will review a couple of housekeeping items before we get started. So today's session is scheduled to end by 12:45. If you do have questions, please use the chat box, our Q&A feature, and if we have time, we'll either answer them in the chat box or we'll come back to it at the end. And the slides, resources, and the recording will be posted online later. And we do have live captioning as well. So if that's something you would like to utilize, please just make sure you turn that setting on. And I will pass it over to Kate to introduce today's presenter.
Hi, everybody. It's my pleasure to introduce our speaker for today's webinar. Dr. Bernadette Melnyk is the Vice President for Health Promotion at the University Chief's Wellness Officer and the Dean of the College of Nursing. She's also the Hyleen Fold Health Trust Professor of Evidence-Based Practice and a Professor of Pediatrics and Psychiatry in the College of Medicine. So now I will turn it over to you, Dr. Melnyk.
Thanks, Kate. It is so great to be with all of you today. First off, I want to wish you, your loved ones, your families, a very healthy, peaceful holiday season. I am actually going to give you some hot off the press data today, which a lot of people, even our upper administration, has not seen yet. So if you can keep this under wraps just for a little while, that would be very much appreciated. I'm going to start with a dose of vitamin G for gratitude. If we can all get into the habit of practicing daily gratitude, we will have less stress and improved mood. And I'd like to suggest when you start your classes with your students to start with a dose of vitamin G, because gratitude is one of the simplest evidence-based practices that has so many positive outcomes. Research studies have shown it improves mood, heart health, optimism, sleep, and blood pressure. We encourage units and colleges across Ohio State to create gratitude boards like you're seeing here in our CCTS unit. They put up this board to encourage faculty, staff, students, when you come in first thing in the morning, write down just one person or thing that you're grateful for. It truly lifts people's spirits. Well, at Ohio State, we define wellness as the optimal state of living well, regardless of an individual's spectrum of health. We use 9 dimensions of wellness, although we're moving to 10 to include digital wellness. And we target wellness programs across the universities to these 9 dimensions because not everybody needs help in the same dimension at the same time. This is a book that I edited that is available to you and your employees. All you have to do is ask for the link. We will provide it to you, but it has evidence-based tips for how to promote wellness in each of these dimensions. I had an Ohio State student help me tweak this for our students. And our goal is to include this as students on board to the university. So even before the pandemic struck in March of 2020, we were seeing such an escalation of mental health problems in college students across the country, but also in faculty and staff. Put on top of just regular stressors, the pandemic, we are seeing such high rates of depression, anxiety, burnout, but at the same time, people are attempting to cope with the chronicity of the pandemic by engaging in unhealthy behaviors. So we have seen an uptick in unhealthy emotional eating, alcohol use, and at the same time, we are seeing a decline in physical activity. So if you're experiencing any of those symptoms yourself, you definitely are not alone. And our university-wide wellness team is here to help you as you need it. Well, I always say there is now a mental health pandemic inside of our COVID-19 pandemic. 25% of 18 to 24-year-olds have thought about suicide since the pandemic started. Suicide is the second leading cause of death in 18 to 24-year-olds. 1 out of 3 college students are suffering with clinical depression or anxiety. And over 60% of college students who drop out of college do so because of mental health issues. Mental health problems have become such an epidemic that just this past week, our United States Surgeon General, Vivek Murthy, issued a severe warning, stressing how much of an epidemic this is and calling for urgent action. There's been studies, large ones, that have been conducted since the pandemic started. In this study of nearly 800,000 people in this age category, the largest significant increase in mental health problems was anxiety or depression. 18 to 29-year-olds, so much of our college student population, had the largest increase in unmet mental health needs. We still have so much stigma around mental health issues, and we've got to eliminate that. It is not a weakness to say, I need help. It's definitely a strength. Factors associated with depression, anxiety, PTSD symptoms during the COVID-19 pandemic include clinically elevated depression, general anxiety disorder, post-traumatic stress disorder. This study also showed increased loneliness, increases in COVID-19 specific worry, but at the same time, a decrease in distress tolerance was associated with clinical levels of depression, anxiety, and post-traumatic stress disorder. Resilience, we know, is a great protective factor, which is why it's important for us to build those skills in our students in hopes of preventing a lot of these problems. We need to integrate evidence-based resiliency skills in our curricula instead of continuing to make them optional. Student engagement in our evidence-based wellness programming is overall quite low. We are resource rich with so many fabulous evidence-based programs, health coaches, resources. But what we need is your help as faculty, as engaging in them yourself and promoting your students to participate. And I would encourage you, maybe think about what you can do in your courses. Can you waive an assignment if students participate in a wellness offering that we currently have? Well, this past year, our terrific president, Christina Johnson, recognized that we have ongoing issues with high rates of mental health problems in our students. So she commissioned a mental health commission. I was blessed to be appointed as co-chair of that mental health commission, along with Melissa Shivers, who is the vice president for student life. Melissa and I really do a great job of collaborating together because we cannot build wonderful wellness cultures in silos. We met 7 times from June 7th through July 19th. Each meeting, we focused on a deep dive into these topical areas to review our current data, our approach, and our resources to mental health and well-being. Melissa and I just presented our recommendations to our president, her cabinet, and the board of trustees. We have 5 recommendations coming out of our mental health commission that we will now be going forward into implementation. Melissa and I just formed these implementation work groups that contain faculty, staff, and students from across the university. We are very excited to get started with this action work. So we will be keeping our university abreast of our recommendations and our ongoing work together in the Mental Health Commission. So today, I would like you to reflect on your own level of burnout right now, and just to be truthful with yourselves based on your own definition of burnout. How would you rate it right now? If you fall into the number 1 or 2 category, you probably are in a good working situation. You probably take some time to prioritize your self-care. But If you're falling into the 3, 4, or 5 category, I encourage you, make a commitment today. No matter what you have going on in your life right now, you've got to prioritize your own self-care a little more, because we cannot continue to pour from an empty cup. Working harder when you're burnt out is only going to lead to more problems. And if you fall into the 4 or 5 category, please get some help. It is not selfish to take good self-care. It really is important so we can really enjoy what we do, engage in what we do every day. Well, maybe you're not burnout. Maybe you're not depressed or suffering with anxiety. Maybe you're languishing, which so many people are doing during the course of this pandemic. Languishing exists in that middle. It's a place where you're lacking energy and you're not thriving. But people who are languishing right now, if action isn't taken, if we don't assist them to getting into a better state, mental health problems are sure to follow. As part of languishing, and one action strategy for it, every day, set aside just 10 minutes or so to engage in a meaningful task that you enjoy, that brings you joy, because small wins during this chronic pandemic are really important. So why does Ohio State invest the millions of dollars that we do in faculty, staff, and student well-being? First off, most importantly, it's because we want all our Buckeyes to be happy, healthy, and engaged. We know investment in wellness improves student mental health and retention, but it also improves faculty engagement, productivity, job satisfaction. But when I have my quarterly meetings with our Vice President for Finance, who's wonderfully supportive of what we do for wellness, he asks, Bern, what's our return on investment for wellness? We look at that outcome so I can share that with the president, with our senior VP for finance. And I'm so happy to share with them that our return on investment for every dollar we put into faculty, staff, and student well-being is $2 to $4. But we go beyond return on investment. We look at value of the investment, employee morale. What's our turnover? What's our sick day time look like? What's our quality of life for our people? And are they satisfied with their position? Well, right after the pandemic hit, my wellness team, in collaboration with Student Life, have done 4 consecutive surveys because we want to keep a pulse on how our faculty, staff, and students are doing throughout the pandemic. We use that data then to target our interventions to improve. So I just want to show you some of our latest data on our students from the survey that ended in early October. More than 60% of our respondents, first year and returning students, reported, sometimes too often, having problems coping with the stress in their lives. 66% of our returning students reported burnout in this October-November survey. In first-year students, our regional undergrads had the highest rates of depression, followed by our professional students. In our returning students, our graduate and Columbus undergrads had the highest rates of anxiety, 40%, followed by our regional undergrads. So again, our faculty encouraging our students, integrating wellness in our curriculum, pointing our students to the fabulous resources we have available is so important to help them. Again, in our October and November survey, we still see concerning health disparities in levels of depression and anxiety in our students, which is why one of the recommendations in our mental health commission is focused solely on our underrepresented students. We have got to target our interventions that are effective specifically to that group and figure out what we can do to engage them more in the fabulous programming we have available. Use of a mental health counselor increased from 12 to almost 22% from April to October. But this is interesting that we haven't found before. Approximately a third of our first year and returning students used increased caffeine to cope with COVID. In October and November, rates of healthy eating stayed the same, as well as eating less healthy. It actually increased to 42%. If our students were engaging in healthy lifestyle behaviors, physical activity, healthy eating, stress reduction, they had better mental health. Volunteerism was associated with decreased depressive symptoms. And for our first year students, increased physical activity was associated with decreased anxiety and burnout. So we take a multi-component approach to targeting mental health and well-being, healthy lifestyle behaviors at our university. We target top leaders, supervisors, managers, our faculty, individuals and small groups across the university, because grassroots efforts are really important to building and sustaining a culture of wellness. And we target the system. We've got to look across our system. If workloads are super high, if units or colleges are greatly understaffed, we can offer all the fabulous wellness programs we want, but it's not going to have people being engaged. This I talked to our president and provost about, because these system issues are also important to fix. We need in our country a huge paradigm shift, one from sickness, crisis care, and intervention to prevention and the building of resiliency skills. A lot of people think if you're not born with resiliency, forget it. You can't develop that. And that couldn't be further from the truth. These are all important resiliency building skills. And we have fabulous programs around many of these. But again, I need your help with engagement. If you've never taken a resiliency scale, this is a wonderful, valid, and reliable resiliency scale that not only gives you your score on those categories that you just saw on the slide, but it also gives you great tips for how do I improve my resiliency in that particular category. I'd like you to join us and have your students join us in our Mask On Mood Up Challenge. We are asking everybody, every time you put on a mask, take 3 deep abdominal breaths using the 5-7-8 method. When you inhale, do it slowly for a count of 5, hold it for 7, exhale slowly for a count of 8. There's actually evidence behind the 5-7-8 method. It's really effective for decreasing stress and decreasing blood pressure. Be kind to yourself. We have such high expectations for ourselves as faculty, but right now, especially when there's such burnout in our faculty, staff, and students, we need to be a bit kinder to ourselves. Do we really need that many extensive grading assignments in our courses? Do our students really need that many to meet the competencies or the requirements in our courses? Be kind to yourself. Every time you put on a mask, pick a self-affirmation statement, repeat it several times, because we know our brain processes what it hears. So if we have fear about whatever it is, to say a self-affirmation statement, I am strong, I'm kind, I'm good at what I do, I'm too blessed to be stressed. It will help if we say it repetitively. And then give a dose of vitamin G to one person every day. If we all made that a habit at our university, I guarantee you we'd continue to build a fabulous culture. An ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. We must continue to build this wonderful well-caring culture, because if we don't, we're going to continue to see high epidemic of these mental health issues of burnout. We went and sent divers into a deep ocean without an oxygen tank. How can we send our students throughout their academic career, their life, without equipping them with evidence-based skills that research has supported works? Well, again, we have so many wellness and counseling, mental health resources at Ohio State. I make sure all of my students plug in the suicide prevention hotline into their phone, not just for themselves, but for their peers, because you never know when you're going to need it. I encourage faculty and staff to do the same thing. And one of the best things, brief, that we can do, if we see a student, a faculty or staff who look really down, maybe they're angry and irritable, which is often a sign of depression and anxiety. But we say to them when we see it, are you okay today? If we all just took a few seconds to do that, we could help prevent suicide, which is all too rampant on college campuses throughout the United States. We have got a wonderful wellness app designed by students and faculty to support student well-being. We are adding to that app all the time. We've got a Buckeye peer access line. A lot of our students don't necessarily need a counselor. What they need is a peer to talk to. We're going to look at the data, the usage in our mental health commission work. And we are also talking about adding a text line to Buckeye Pell as well. We've got a fabulous student wellness center, but again, engagement is relatively low. My College of Nursing also has a wonderful telehealth wellness hub that is staffed by our faculty and students. They do a fabulous 30-minute assessment of mental health, physical health, and well-being. They're equipped then to give a little support, advice, refer students to resources that we have. We also have health and wellness coaching available through our telehealth wellness hub. We've got a 1-credit course called Health Athlete for students. It's an energy management course. I also offer this freely out of my CWO office for faculty and staff. It is a fabulous program. If you're interested in taking it, and we've got awesome outcome data on it, please reach out to me at melnyk.15. We also have a terrific evidence-based cognitive behavior skills building program that teaches the skills in cognitive behavior therapy. We have rolled this out all throughout the university for students, faculty, and staff, but it's also offered as a 1-credit course. We've got over 22 studies behind this program to show when people take it, they experience less depression, stress, anxiety, and actually also engage in healthier behaviors. We are into part 5 now of our Stay Calm and Well series. We'll be launching the 6th in the series next semester for our faculty, staff, and graduate students. This series, we have received so much positive feedback on it. We offer it for 30 minutes during Wellness Wednesdays, usually from 12:30 to 1 p.m. But what's so great about this series? Every lecture has skills building activities in it, because we know without putting the content into daily practice, behaviors don't typically change. Additional programming and services for faculty, staff, and students can be found at our wellness.osu.edu website. I'm going to finish the last 5 minutes of my talk today by just giving you a few more evidence-based tips for yourself. Cardiovascular disease is still the #1 killer of Americans. In fact, Kate and I were on a Million Hearts call yesterday. The physician in charge of the Million Hearts program showed us data on how blood pressure, hypertension has continued to accelerate during the pandemic. We need urgent action. But if you take into consideration all causes of death and disease in the United States, it's actually our behaviors that are the #1 killer. And I am not kidding you when I say beware the chair. It's driving me crazy right now to be in an office other than my own in the Ohio Union, to be sitting and delivering this presentation. Because if we sit 3 hours a day, we increase our cardiac risk by 30%. Ask your students to stand for parts of your lecture. Even if it's a minute, get them up and moving. Sitting is also the biggest zapper of our energy. If you want more energy, sit less, stand more, move more. We make behavioral choices every single day. We've got a choice whether to walk the stairs or take the elevator. I didn't make this slide up. This is a real fitness facility in the state of California. You have a choice: walk the steps, take the escalator to go work out for the day. A group of psychologists studied this for a week. They found only 2 people a day chose to take the steps. So I give this research-based formula to how to decrease your risk of chronic disease by 80%. This is all we need to do. 30 minutes, 5 days a week of physical activity. You might say, Bern, you're nuts. I don't have time to do that. And I say, yes, you can do it. Cut your meetings from 60 to 50 minutes. If you did that just 3 times a day, you'd have 10 minutes to just go for a walk around your office, do some jumping jacks, put on a little music and dance. If I can do it, you can do it. 5 fruits and veggies a day. I did that again this morning. I have a NutriBullet every morning, or at least 5 mornings a week. I put in spinach, avocado, strawberry, raspberry, blueberries, a little turmeric, protein powder, a little flaxseed. Bam, everything else is gravy for the rest of the day. Don't smoke. And if you don't drink alcohol, don't start. But if you do, limit it to 1 drink a day. We are seeing more types of cancers that are associated with increased use of alcohol. At 7 hours of sleep, yes, 7 is critical. Anything less than that, our cortisol just pumps out. And we know the adverse effects of cortisol on the body. So I want to finish by saying self-care. We must do all we can to take better self-care because we can't take great care of others. We can't be great at what we do in our jobs if we don't give ourselves permission to take good self-care, because we can't pour from an empty cup. So my charge for everybody today, just pick one of those behaviors I just showed. For the next 30 to 60 days, say, I'm just going to get a little bit better at that one thing. If you only exercise 10 minutes twice a week, say, I'm going to do 15 minutes twice a week, or a third day of 10 minutes. But write the goal down, put it where you could see it every day, because visual triggers really do motivate. Well, some of you might know, when I was 15 years of age, home alone with my mom, she sneezed, stroked out, and died right in front of me. I suffered from terrible post-traumatic stress disorder, depression, anxiety for a few years. But you know the story, what doesn't break us only makes us stronger. And as a result of what I experienced as a teenager, I became passionate to become a nurse practitioner, go on and get my PhD so I could devote my career to developing evidence-based programs to improve mental health of children, teens, and young adults. The saddest part of my mom's story, she had a history of headaches for over a year. And my dad kept saying, go to the doctor, figure out what's wrong. She went to our family physician just 1 week before she died. She was diagnosed with high blood pressure, given a prescription for a blood pressure medication that my dad found in her purse after she died. If she would have taken it, she might have lived for a longer length of time. So if you don't take better self-care for yourself, who loves you? Your family, in your life, your loved ones. Do it for them because they want you to be around. When I don't feel like exercising, making healthy choices, I put my beautiful family in front of me and I do it for them because I didn't have a mom to see me graduate from high school, college, and go on to have my beautiful family. And if I couldn't motivate you enough, I'm going to end. This little girl will definitely do it.
Just do it. Don't let your dreams be dreams. Yesterday you said tomorrow. So just do it. Make your dreams come true. Just do it. Some people dreamers are obsessed. And you're going to wake up and we're going to work hard at it. Nothing is impossible. You should get to a point where anyone else will quit. And you're not going to stop there. No, what are you waiting for? Just do it. Just do it. Yes, you can. Just do it.
I just love that. But seriously, if ever I can help you all further, please take advantage of the wonderful program that we have and have a terrific, blessed, and healthy holiday season. With that, I'd be happy to answer a couple of questions if any of you have them. Any questions? If you think of any you want to reach out to me, please don't hesitate to do that. Again, stay well, take good self-care, and happy holidays.
Goodbye, everyone. Thank you for joining us today.